It was Christmas Eve, and the snow fell silently over the small town of Maplewood. Strings of colorful lights adorned the houses, their glow reflecting on the icy streets. The air carried the comforting scent of pine and baked goods. For most, it was a night of joy and togetherness. But for Sarah, it was a night that would haunt her forever. Sarah had recently moved into her grandmother's old house after her passing. The home was an old Victorian on the outskirts of town, creaking and drafty, but full of charm. Despite its age, it had a warmth to it, and Sarah thought spending her first Christmas there might help her feel closer to her late grandmother. As the evening drew on, Sarah decorated a small tree in the living room, sipping hot cocoa and humming along to Christmas carols. Around 8 p.m., the power flickered and then went out completely, plunging the house into darkness. She cursed under her breath and fumbled for her phone, using its flashlight to find the breaker box. It was located in the basement, a place she'd avoided since moving in. The basement stairs groaned under her weight as she descended. Her flashlight swept across the walls, revealing old cobwebs and forgotten furniture draped in dusty sheets. Reaching the breaker box, she flipped the switches, but nothing happened. Frustrated, she decided to call the power company, but her phone had no signal. As Sarah turned to go back upstairs, she noticed something strange. In the corner of the basement, behind an old trunk, a faint glow caught her eye. It pulsed softly, like the light of a candle. Curious and unnerved, she approached it. The glow was coming from a small door she hadn't noticed before, partially hidden behind the trunk. The door was old and weathered, its surface carved with intricate symbols she didn't recognize. She hesitated. The logical part of her brain told her to leave it alone, but her curiosity got the better of her. She reached for the handle, finding it cold to the touch, and pulled it open. Beyond the door was a narrow passageway, its walls lined with flickering candles. A chilling draft seeped through, carrying with it a faint, eerie melody. Sarah's heart raced, but she stepped inside. The passage led downward, spiraling into the earth. As she descended, the melody grew louder, a haunting tune that seemed both inviting and menacing. The candles' flames danced, casting unsettling shadows on the stone walls. At the bottom of the passage, Sarah entered a circular chamber. The room was empty, save for a single object in the center, an ornate mirror. Its frame was made of twisted metal resembling branches, and the glass shimmered unnaturally. As Sarah approached, her reflection appeared. But it wasn't her. The figure in the mirror looked like Sarah but wore a malevolent grin that stretched too wide. Its eyes were pitch black, void of any humanity. Sarah stumbled back, her breath hitching. The reflection spoke, its voice a distorted echo of her own. "You shouldn't have come here," it said, the grin widening. "But now that you're here, we can finally trade places." Sarah turned to run, but the passage she'd come through had vanished. The walls of the chamber began to close in, the candles extinguishing one by one. The mirror figure stepped forward, pressing against the glass as if it were no longer a barrier. Desperate, Sarah screamed and grabbed a loose rock from the floor, hurling it at the mirror. The glass shattered, and a deafening wail filled the chamber. The pieces of the mirror began to glow, swirling in the air and forming a vortex. Sarah was sucked in, the world around her dissolving into darkness. She woke up in her living room, the Christmas tree lights twinkling softly. Everything seemed normal, as if the terrifying experience had been a dream. but something felt off. Her reflection in the window didn't move in sync with her. It stood still, watching her with that same malevolent grin. Panic set in as Sarah realized she wasn't alone. The air grew colder, and the shadows in the room seemed to stretch and writhe. From the corner of her eye, she saw figures standing just beyond the glow of the Christmas lights. They were tall, featureless silhouettes, their presence oppressive and suffocating. One of them stepped forward, its movements slow and deliberate. It reached out with a long, spindly hand, placing it on Sarah's shoulder. She tried to scream, but no sound came out. The figure leaned in close, whispering in a voice that chilled her to the bone. "Welcome home." The next morning, Sarah's neighbors noticed her house was eerily quiet. They knocked on the door, but there was no answer. Concerned, they called the police. When the officers arrived and entered the house, they found it empty. The Christmas tree was still lit, and the hot cocoa on the table was untouched, but there was no sign of Sarah. The only clue was a shattered mirror in the basement, its pieces arranged in a perfect circle on the floor. In the center of the circle was a single word, written in what looked like frost: trade. To this day, the house remains vacant. Locals say they've seen lights flickering inside on Christmas Eve, and some claim to hear faint music drifting from the basement. Others have reported glimpses of a woman in the window, her grin too wide and her eyes impossibly dark. No one stays in the house for long. And every Christmas, a fresh snowfall covers the town, burying the whispers of those who know the truth. Once you step into the darkness, it never lets you go.